Just a decade ago, Tesla pulled off the impossible. Elon Musk took on the entrenched giants of Detroit, flipped the automotive world upside down, and made the electric vehicle mainstream. Detroit laughed, then they panicked, and then they lost. Fast forward to today, and the hunter has become the hunted. A Chinese powerhouse named BYD is executing the same playbook, but they are doing it faster, cheaper, and at a frankly terrifying scale. While Tesla is slashing prices just to tread water, BYD is launching brand new, highly profitable models every few months and capturing global market share at an unprecedented rate. They are beating Tesla at its own game of vertical integration, building everything from their own battery cells to their own cargo ships. How did the ultimate disruptor become the sluggish incumbent? And what happens when the very strategies Tesla used to destroy Detroit are weaponized against them? This is the story of a brutal changing of the guard, and why Tesla's days as the undisputed king of electric vehicles might already be over. To understand what BYD did to Tesla, you first have to remember what Tesla did to Detroit. In 2008, General Motors and Ford were not worried about electric cars. They were worried about survival. The financial crisis had exposed decades of strategic rot, and the American automakers' response was to build bigger trucks and louder engines, while the rest of the world watched fuel prices climb. Into that complacency walked a small California company with a single model, a polarizing founder, and a technology that the industry had quietly dismissed for 30 years. Tesla did not simply build a better car, it rewrote the entire operating model. Over-the-air software updates meant the car got better after you bought it, something no GM or Ford vehicle had ever done. Direct sales meant no dealership markups, no negotiation theatre, and no commission-hungry salespeople steering customers toward internal combustion alternatives. And the battery technology, developed in partnership with Panasonic and later scaled in the Nevada Gigafactory, gave Tesla a cost per kilowatt hour that legacy automakers could not touch without completely restructuring their supply chains. By the time Detroit understood what was happening, Tesla had already captured the premium EV segment, built a charging network that competitors could not replicate overnight, and planted a flag in the public imagination as the only car company that felt like a technology company. Ford's response was the F-150 Lightning. GM's was the Bolt. Both arrived years too late and cost hundreds of millions to develop. The disruption was already complete. Tesla won because it saw the future before everyone else. But there is a particular danger that comes with being right early. You start to believe that being right the first time means you will always be right. By 2020, Tesla had the Model S, the Model 3, the Model X, and the Model Y. That lineup generated billions in revenue, built the most loyal customer base in the automotive world, and turned Elon Musk into the richest person on Earth. The problem was not the products themselves. The problem was what came next, which was almost nothing. The Model 3 launched in 2017. The Model Y launched in 2020. And then Tesla went 4 years without releasing a single mainstream vehicle. Instead, the company poured its attention into the Cybertruck, an angular stainless steel polarizing spectacle that finally reached customers in late 2023 after years of delays, priced far above the mass market and selling in numbers that made no meaningful dent in global volume. Meanwhile, the Model Y and Model 3 aged. Competitors updated their interiors. Buyers who had spent 3 years on a Tesla waitlist were now comparing a 2023 Model Y refresh against a fresh lineup of rivals offering larger screens, better software interfaces, and lower sticker prices. Tesla's market share in the United States fell from over 75% in 2022 to below 50% by 2024, according to Cox Automotive. That collapse did not happen because Tesla built a bad car. It happened because Tesla stopped building urgency while the rest of the world caught up. If you are still watching, you need to hear what happened next. Subscribe now, because this is where the story gets uncomfortable for everyone who still has a Tesla poster on their wall. While Tesla was coasting, a very different kind of company was watching. BYD was founded in 1995, not as a car company, but as a rechargeable battery manufacturer in Shenzhen. For a decade, it supplied batteries to Nokia, Motorola, and virtually every other mobile handset maker on Earth. It entered the automotive industry in 2003, largely unnoticed by Western media. And then it did something no other automaker had attempted at scale. It decided to own everything. Tesla practiced vertical integration. BYD perfected it. Where Tesla sourced cells from Panasonic, CATL, and LG, BYD manufactured its own. Where Tesla relied on external semiconductor suppliers, BYD developed its own chips. Where Tesla contracted out components, BYD built the factories to make them in-house. The company employs over 650,000 people across 30 industrial parks globally, covering batteries, motors, controllers, electronics, and vehicle platforms under one roof. This is not a car company that also makes batteries. This is a battery and electronics conglomerate that also makes cars, and that distinction changes everything about how you calculate cost. By controlling the entire production stack, BYD can absorb shocks that would cripple any company dependent on third-party suppliers. When raw material prices spike, BYD feels it last. When a competitor tries to compete on price, BYD has margins to work with that no Western automaker can match. Tesla built a disruptor. BYD built the disruptor's replacement. The weapon that made BYD untouchable on price was not a marketing campaign or a government subsidy, though it received both. It was a battery. In 2020, BYD unveiled what it called the Blade battery, a proprietary lithium iron phosphate cell shaped like a long, thin rectangular blade, rather than the cylindrical format Tesla and most other manufacturers used. The engineering advantages were immediate and significant. Because the blade uses LFP chemistry, rather than the nickel-cobalt compounds in Tesla's cells, the raw materials are cheaper, more abundant, and free from the ethical supply chain concerns tied to cobalt mining. A peer-reviewed teardown study published in Cell Reports Physical Science by researchers at RWTH Aachen University found that BYD's Blade battery costs approximately €10 less per kilowatt-hour in materials than Tesla's 4680 cell. At the scale BYD operates, that gap translates into hundreds of millions in annual savings. The Blade also generates less than half the heat per unit of volume compared to Tesla's 4680 under the same load, meaning the cooling systems required are cheaper and simpler to engineer. Tesla's battery is denser and delivers more range per kilogram. But BYD's battery is safer, cheaper, and scales faster. The market had already decided which trade-off it preferred. BYD's battery technology became so credible that Tesla, the company that had spent a decade positioning itself as the world's most advanced battery manufacturer, quietly became a BYD battery customer. The company that disrupted Detroit was now buying components from the company that was disrupting it. In 2023, Tesla decided to play hardball. Facing softening demand and a growing list of well-funded competitors, Elon Musk announced a series of sweeping global price cuts. The Model Y came down by 20% in some markets. The logic was straightforward and brutal. Drop prices far enough and fast enough, and the companies without the margins to follow you will die. Tesla expected to emerge from a brief price war as the dominant survivor of a cold field. What actually happened was very different. BYD matched the cuts. Not across every model, but wherever Tesla pushed, BYD absorbed the pressure and kept building. Smaller Chinese EV makers without BYD's vertical integration and battery cost advantage did suffer. Several collapsed or retreated. But BYD did not collapse. It grew. Tesla's gross margin on automotive sales, which had been above 25% in 2022, fell to roughly 14% by 2024 as the price cuts took effect. BYD's revenues reached 777 billion yuan in 2024, equivalent to approximately $107 billion, surpassing Tesla's $97.7 billion revenue figure for the same year. The company that started the price war ended it with lower margins, a weaker brand proposition in the premium segment, and a rival that had emerged from the fire stronger and leaner. Tesla had done exactly what it accused Detroit of doing a decade earlier. It used price as a weapon without understanding that its opponent had a lower cost floor. By the end of 2024, the scoreboard had flipped in a way that Wall Street had not priced in. Stay with this, because the next chapter explains exactly how that happened. Part of what made BYD so hard to fight was the pace at which it moved. Tesla's product development cycle, from concept to commercial production, typically ran 5 years or more. The Cybertruck was first unveiled in November 2019 and did not reach paying customers until late 2023. The Model Y, Tesla's top-selling vehicle, went through most of its commercial life with interior and technology updates measured in years rather than months. BYD operates on a different calendar entirely. The company has consistently brought new models from concept to showroom in 12 months or less. Its product lineup covers every price segment from the Seagull, which starts below $10,000 in the Chinese market, to premium luxury vehicles under its Yangwang sub-brand. In 2025, its best-selling Song series dominated Chinese sales charts while newer models expanded into Southeast Asia and Europe simultaneously. The speed advantage is not just about consumer novelty, it is about learning cycles. Every new model BYD releases carries updated software, refined battery integration, and manufacturing improvements learned from the previous generation. Tesla innovates in large, occasional leaps. BYD innovates continuously and incrementally, and over a 5-year window, the incremental approach generates more total improvement. By 2025, independent analysts at JATO had confirmed that BYD's European sales surged 359% year-over-year. In April alone, during the same month, Tesla's European registrations fell 49%. The design advantage that Tesla had spent a decade building had officially moved east. The moment the narrative finally broke on Wall Street came when the quarterly numbers could no longer be explained away. In Q4 2024, BYD sold 595,413 battery electric vehicles. Tesla delivered 495,570 during the same period. That gap, just under 100,000 units in a single quarter, was not a rounding error. For the full year 2025, BYD sold 2.26 million pure battery electric vehicles against Tesla's 1.64 million, a gap of over 600,000 units. Tesla's annual deliveries had already declined in 2024 for the first time in the company's history, dropping 1.1% from the prior year. In the first quarter of 2025, sales fell 13%. The second quarter fell a further 14%, the worst quarterly decline in Tesla's recorded history. In Europe, where Tesla had led the battery electric vehicle market for years, registrations dropped 43% in the first 2 months of 2025, while the wider European industry grew 31%. The investor community that had valued Tesla at multiples no traditional automaker could justify had built that valuation on a story of perpetual growth. That story was now in revision. Tesla's market capitalization remained dramatically higher than BYD's, reflecting the market's belief in its AI and autonomous driving potential, rather than its current car business. But the car business, the original proof of concept, had been overtaken. While the Western press focused on the Tesla-BYD rivalry, BYD was executing a geographic expansion that most analysts had underestimated. In 2024, its overseas sales grew 72% to over 417,000 vehicles across more than 70 countries. In Spain, BYD sold 15,857 vehicles in 2025, compared to 3,801 the previous year, a fourfold increase in 12 months. In Norway, sales doubled. In Southeast Asia, BYD was building factories in Thailand and Indonesia, establishing local production that would allow it to sidestep the tariffs that kept it out of the United States. The Hungarian factory, with an annual capacity of 300,000 vehicles, gave BYD a European manufacturing base designed to position it as a local producer rather than an importer, neutralizing the political pressure that Western governments had deployed to slow its advance. The 100% tariffs that the United States and European Union imposed on Chinese EVs were designed to buy time for domestic manufacturers. What they actually did was accelerate BYD's investment in local production capacity outside China. The company was not deterred, it simply rerouted. By building in Hungary, Thailand, Brazil, and Uzbekistan, BYD was doing to global trade policy what it had done to Tesla on pricing. It found the cost floor, absorbed the obstacle, and kept building. The emerging markets that Tesla had not yet reached in any serious volume were being claimed before the American company could even establish a presence. So where does this leave Tesla? The honest answer is that it leaves Tesla at the most consequential crossroads in its history. The hardware volume game is over. BYD won it with lower costs, faster iteration, and a supply chain that cannot be replicated quickly by any Western competitor. Tesla's future is not in selling more Model Ys. It is in what Elon Musk has spent years describing as the company's real endgame: autonomous vehicles, robotaxis, and artificial intelligence. The Cybercab, Tesla's purpose-built robotaxi, represents either the proof of that pivot or its definitive failure. If full self-driving reaches regulatory approval and commercial scale in major markets, Tesla's value as a technology platform rather than a car company could justify everything its market capitalization implies. If it does not, Tesla becomes exactly what it turned Detroit into: a legacy brand, well-liked, historically important, and gradually losing ground to a competitor that is simply more focused, more efficient, and more willing to build. The irony is complete. Detroit failed because it underestimated a technology company masquerading as a car company. Tesla may fail because it underestimated a manufacturing company masquerading as a technology company. The question is no longer whether BYD changed the game. The question is whether Tesla can change itself fast enough to survive what it started. If this story changed how you see the EV industry, share it with one person who still thinks Tesla is untouchable. And if you want to understand the next chapter of this war, subscribe. The robotaxi battle has not even started yet.